Hey you guys, and happy October! This is my favorite time of the year, and unfortunately because time is so crunched, I'm not going to be able to do any super crazy Halloween videos, although I do have two in the works right now, but I thought it might be kind of fun to hang out and tell some scary stories while I get ready today. These stories, I'm not gonna lie you guys, they are creepy, okay? They're not for kids or anything like that. These are actually pretty tame to the other ones that I was looking into today to research for this. But I talk a little bit later in the video about other ideas I have for this if you want to see more of it, so stay tuned for all of that. Hopefully this video doesn't get demonetized, but that is one of the reasons I have a Patreon now. For everybody who's so mad about the fact that I have a Patreon, this is one of the benefits of having it. If I get demonetized, it's okay. I can do a little bit more of what I want over here now. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and happy haunting. This is a chit chat get ready with me, so I will have a naked face in 3, 2, 1. All right. I hope you guys are in a spooky mood because these stories actually did kind of freak me out. I'm sitting on my laptop in my living room, searching for them and just kind of like looking over my shoulder. And I walked into my daughter's bathroom and made my dogs come with me. Like I freaked myself out pretty intensely this morning getting all this together. So obviously I already have my brows done and I am primed. I want to do something red, like a red burgundy smoky eye. I haven't done something like that in a long time, and in 2016 that was all I ever wanted to do, so I'm kind of excited to venture on backwards and try some things I used to really love. I got a fluffy brush. I also just tanned and I did a poor job as always. I'm gonna take this color right here. All right, gather round as I tell you the tale of my brother Charlie. My brother Charlie. I hate it when my brother Charlie has to go away. My parents constantly try to explain to me how sick he really is. That I am lucky for having a brain where all the chemicals flow properly to their destinations like undammed rivers. And when I complain about how bored I am without my little brother to play with, they try to make me feel bad by pointing out that his boredom most likely surpasses mine, considering that he is confined to a dark room in an institution. I always beg for them to give him just one more chance. And of course they did, at first. Charlie has been home several times, but each shorter in duration than the time before. But every time, without fail, it starts again. The neighborhood cats with gouged out eyes show up in his toy box. My dad's razors found on the baby slide at the park across the street. And Mom's vitamins replaced with dishwasher tablets. My parents are hesitant now, using last chances very sparingly. They say his disorder makes him charming and makes it easy for him to fake normalcy. It also makes it very easy for him to trick doctors who care for him into thinking he is finally ready for rehabilitation, and that I will just have to learn how to put up with my boredom, if it means staying safe from him. I hate it when Charlie has to go away. It makes me have to pretend to be good until he gets back. Ha ha ha! Little shocking twist. Very M. Night Shyamalan on that one. You guys, I want to let you know that I read so many scary stories picking these out. I tried to pick the ones that were a little less graphic because a lot of the ones that I picked initially were really graphic, and probably would get demonetized, as I said in the intro. I don't know how you guys feel about that kind of stuff. Like, we might have people here that are really not horror fans or scary movie fans. I am, so that stuff doesn't really faze me. You'll have to let me know if you guys want me to take this even a step further. I found a bunch of stuff that would be really cool to do. I even considered doing one of these all about American urban legends and, you know, like the Chupacabra and stuff like that. That would be really cool, but you'll have to let me know if you want me to A, to keep doing this, and B, what scary stories you want to hear. My Brother Charlie was a good one, I think, because there is something just intensely fascinating about murderous children, is there not? Like, it's such a horror trope. Like, creepy children are just, they scare the shit out of literally everybody. Before I move on to the next tale of terror, I'm just pulling random reds and burgundies, like from the Dose of Colors Friendcation palette and the Morphe 35M palette. I have no plan. I'm just going for it. I will link everything I use in the order that I used it down below, though. I'm taking the Anastasia Beverly Hills liquid lipstick in the color Vamp. I'm just popping some on the back of my hand and then pressing it all over my lid with a flat brush. This video feels so weird to be kind of like popping in and out of scary mode to talk about makeup, but hopefully it's still working. I don't know. I'm just trying to have fun and be spooky. Next, on to the story. Guardians. He awoke to the huge insect-like creature looming over his bed and screamed his lungs out. They hastily left the room, and he stayed up all night, shaking and wondering if it had all been a dream. The next morning, there was a tap on the door. Gathering his courage, he opened it to see one of them gently place a plate filled with fried breakfast, and then retreat to a safe distance. Bewildered, he accepted the gift. The creatures chittered excitedly, and this happened every day for weeks. At first, he thought maybe they were fattening him up, but after a particularly greasy breakfast left him clutching his chest from heartburn, they were replaced with fresh fruit. As well as cooking, they poured hot, steamy baths for him and even tucked him in when he went to bed. It was bizarre. And then one night, he awoke to gunshots and screaming. He ran down the stairs to find a headless burglar being devoured by the insects. He was sickened, but he disposed of the remains the best that he could, for he knew that they had only been protecting him. One morning, the creatures would not let him leave his room. He laid down, confused, but trusting, as they ushered him back into his room and back into bed. Whatever their motives, they were not going to hurt him. Hours later, a burning pain spread throughout his body. It felt like his stomach was filled with razor wire. The insects chittered as he screamed and moaned. It was only when he felt a terrible squirming feeling beneath his skin that he realized the insects had not been protecting him. They had been protecting their young. Are you guys scared of bugs? I would be scared of bugs in this scenario, obviously, but I'm not really scared of bugs. My daughter, if she sees a spider, she's gonna lose her absolute mind. Unless they're actually biting me, I don't really care. The next one's really short, so I'm gonna tell it to you when my eyelash glue is drying. This one's called My Daughter Learned to Count. My daughter woke me around 11:50 last night. My wife and I had picked her up from her friend Sally's birthday party, brought her home, and put her to bed. My wife went into the bedroom to read while I fell asleep watching the Braves game. "Daddy," she whispered, tugging my shirt sleeve, "guess how old I'm going to be next month?" "I don't know, beauty," I said as I slipped on my glasses. "How old?" She smiled and held up 4 fingers. "It is 7:30 now." My wife and I have been up with her for almost 8 hours, and she still refuses to tell us where she got them. Kid stories freak me out. They must freak a lot of people out because so many of the shorter scary stories that I found were about kids and parents. Like, there's a whole little kind of like subgenre, if you will, of scary stories that are 2 sentences long. Honestly, those freak me out than anything else. But most of those were about kids and parents, and they're extremely effective because they freak me out. This story is called Next Time You'll Know Better. Have you ever walked into a room and found a vampire? No, not the sexy kind, but a foul creature with bony limbs and ashen skin. The kind that snarls as you enter, like a beast about to pounce. The kind that roots you to the spot with its sunken, hypnotic eyes, rendering you unable to flee as you watch the hideous thing uncoil from the shadows. Has your heart started racing even when your legs refuse to? Have you felt time slow as the creature crosses the room in the darkness of a blink? Have you shuddered with fear when it places one clawed hand atop your head and the other on your chin so it can tilt you, exposing your neck? Have you squirmed as its rough, dry tongue slides down your cheek, over your jaw, and to your throat in a slithering search that is seeking your artery? Have you felt its hot breath release in a hiss against your skin when it probes your pulse, the flow that leads to your brain? Has its tongue rested there, throbbing slightly as if it's savoring the moment? Have you then experienced a sinking, sucking blackness as you discover that not all vampires feed on blood? Some feed on memories. Well, have you? Maybe not. But let me phrase the question this way. Have you ever entered a room and suddenly forgot why you came in? Vampire! Dude, do you guys remember in like 2008, 9, 10 when friggin' vampires were absolutely everywhere? That was such a nightmare because all of the vampires, not all, I don't think true blood vampires were super docile and like, I don't know, sexualized, which I think is part of the allure of the vampire, honestly. But it was like Twilight ruined it, didn't it? Like, the only good thing that came out of that time period was 30 Days of Night. Did you guys ever see that movie? It is one of the best vampire movies ever because I think it's one of the only vampire movies I've ever seen that didn't romanticize vampires. And I know, it's like part of the mystique of the vampire is like, they're human and they're sexy and it's all necks and sucking and it's supposed to do something for you. I get it. But I was so sick of it when all that was going on. Except, you know what else was a good vampire movie around that time? Did you guys ever see Let Me In? It was a remake of a Swedish, I want to say it was Swedish, vampire movie called Let the Right One In. Oh, I think the original one is better. Definitely watch those two vampire movies. Now we move on to the tale called The Happiest Day of My Life. I watched as my soon-to-be father-in-law held his daughter's hand as he walked down the aisle. Tears streamed down his face as the wedding march played in the background, reminding him that in a few minutes he would be watching me, holding her hand and slipping the wedding ring onto her finger. He walked up to the altar and I took hold of her hand, grinning from ear to ear. It was the happiest day of my life. My bride's father got down on his knees and started to beg. Please, I did what you asked. Just please give my daughter back. I glared at him. Shut up and stop ruining the moment. If you sit back down and enjoy the ceremony, I'll tell you where I've hidden the rest of her body. So many of these stories get you that way. They'll talk about holding someone's hand or someone's face, and it turns out it's actually a dismembered body part. It's very popular scary story gag, apparently. So I really love all these like short scary stories, and I tried to get a few together. But if you guys enjoy this video and want me to find a longer one, because I found some really good ones that were super long, and by long I mean it would take me possibly for the entirety of the video to tell the story, I would be happy to do it because some of them were so friggin' creepy. It just made no sense at all. But Yeah, these are all just short little piffy ones. They're all about a paragraph long. And what's funny is I kind of found most of them to be a lot scarier than any long form horror that I've been exposed to. Same thing with the aforementioned 2-sentence horror stories. Those are amazing to me because they just get so much fear packed into such a small amount of words. It's really incredible. Next, a story that really freaked me out. It's called He Stood Against My Window. I don't know why I looked up, but when I did, I saw him there. He stood against my window. His forehead rested against the glass, and his eyes were still and light, and he smiled a lipstick red cartoonish grin. And he just stood there in the window. My wife was upstairs sleeping. My son was in his crib, and I couldn't move. I was frozen. I watched him looking past me through the glass. Oh, please, no. His smile never moved, but he put a hand up and slid it down the glass, watching me. I couldn't do anything. I just stayed there, frozen, feet still in the bushes I was pruning. Looking inside my home, he stood against my window. Oh my God. There were so many stories I read like this where somebody was put into like an impossibly terrifying scenario, and every time I read them, I was just like, what would I do in this situation? Because personally, when I'm terrified, I've only been truly terrified once in my life. I'll tell you guys the story about it some other time. But I froze. Like, I couldn't think. The world slowed down. It was terrible. I meant to say terrifying and terrible, and they kind of came together. Oh, I hate stories like that because my immediate reaction is like, what would I do? And then I know I would freeze, so it's like, eh. This story is called Hidden. Where are you? I screamed. Panicked, I run through the abandoned farm. Not in the old house, not in the barn. I run into an empty field, heart racing. As I scan the area, I run into a mound of dirt and trip, sprawling onto the ground. Getting up, it hits me. Abandoned farm, but I just tripped over freshly tilled earth. Crouching down, I start frantically clawing with my hands. Scooping handfuls of dirt, I hit something hard. Wood. Are you in there? I cry, pressing my ear to the wood. I hear muffled cries. I start digging again, but realize it's taking too long. Looking around, I see a garden shed. I sprint to it, ripping the door open. I see a shovel, still caked in dirt. Probably the same one that bastard buried her with. I grab it, running back. I start digging with purpose. Soon the wooden box is exposed. I toss the shovel and rip open the crate. She stares back at me, bound, eyes wide with terror, gagged but alive. I sigh with relief. Thank God. I reach into my bag, pulling out my rag and chloroform. I crouch down, placing it over her face. She struggles, faints. I toss her over my shoulder. Ah, hell, my brother says as I walk back up to the truck with a smirk. You found her. Yep. You almost had me, though. I laugh. All right, my turn. Where did you put her? I gesture to the creek area. Somewhere over there. Drowning's an issue, though. Jerk, he says as he goes running off. I smile, watching him go. I love adult hide and seek. I don't know why those people were Southern. I took some creative liberties there, but I'll be damned if I don't love hide and seek too, y'all. Wouldn't it be cool if there was like adult hide and seek leagues and stuff? Like how there's softball leagues for grown-ups. I don't know. I love hide and seek. It is literally my favorite thing to play when I was a kid, and I would love to play it now. There is no title for this last story. I don't know if this story is true or not, but it is written as if it is. This happened to a friend of mine. She told me about it a year or so ago. We'll call her Minge. Minge is in her late 20s and works as an English tutor in South Korea. One evening, A few years ago, she was tutoring a high school boy. They were up studying pretty late and the buses had stopped running. Being a long way from his house, the boy asked if he could crash on her floor overnight and get the first bus in the morning. Minge was very reluctant because inviting a teenage male student to stay the night didn't sound like a great idea. But he was begging her and eventually she relented. They went back to her one-room apartment and she got into the bed while he laid a blanket out on the floor and they both fell asleep. A few hours later, maybe 2 a.m., the boy wakes Minge up. "I'm really hungry," he says. "Let's go get some food." Minge opens her eyes and looks up at him in disbelief. "Food? Now? It's 2 a.m. Go back to bed." But the student insists. "No, I'm hungry. Let's eat something now." She tells him that there's some ramen in the kitchen and that doesn't satisfy him. He doesn't want ramen. There's a 24-hour place down the road. Let's just go there. Eventually, after several minutes of persuasion, the boy gets Minge to come with him to the restaurant. They leave the apartment and head out. As soon as they are on the street, the boy turns to Minge and says, "I'm not hungry. I woke up in the middle of the night and looked under your bed. There's a man sleeping there." They call the police and discover that a homeless man had been living in Minge's apartment, sleeping under her bed for over 2 months. The boy only saw him because he was lying on her floor, so he had a clear view under the bed. The police arrested the man, and thankfully there were no other issues. Oh my God. Absolutely another one of those scenarios where I think had I been in the same situation, I would have handled it the exact wrong way. I probably would have just screamed and we would have got axe murdered or something. I don't know. But I'm going to turn the camera off, do my hair, do my lip stitch, and I'll be back to wrap this thing up. I hope you guys are sufficiently creeped out. All right, guys, this is the finished look. I was just getting ready to film another YouTube video that will probably go up either before or after this. So right when I turn the camera off, it's on to the next one. But I do hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it. I would love to do more of them if you're interested. Let me know down below what kind of stories you want to hear more of. Like I said in the video, I could do urban legends. I could do like one long form creepypasta. I could do a bunch of little creepy things. Like, I just really want to hang out in October and really ride the creepy wave. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this once again, and as always, thank you so much to the patrons. The October content just went up. We had our first live stream a couple of weeks ago, or last weekend. I really can't remember. Time is just kind of sticking together right now. It was the most fun I think I've ever had on social media. Like, live streams are absolutely the funnest thing ever. Like, why don't people only do those? So I'm looking forward to the October live streams. A new episode of the War Paint podcast will be going live in the middle of October. There's a giveaway going on over there. I'm actually going to upload a bonus piece of content over there this month. So yeah, if you guys haven't checked out the Patreon, definitely do so if you're feeling squirrely. And yeah, other than that, check the down bar for links to all my social media platforms. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye!